Good morning, my friends. Welcome to Tuesday. And I am excited to be here in 2021 with you. If you're new to me, I'm Marshall Burtcher, and I help codependents rediscover their happiness after narcissistic abuse by healing the trauma bond of discovering and becoming who they are and creating happy relationships. Today, we're going to be talking about innocence, about reclaiming ourselves and the role that innocence plays in our healing. This is not something that's frequently talked about. It's not something I've encountered in my study, even in my trainings. With this, something that I encountered actually last month, and going, wow, this is actually quite important. So before we get to that, I need to share this out to the community real quick, which means I need to go click on some things. So the community is your safe haven here on the internet. We have a very structured way of communicating. We have a structured set of engagement protocols that allow us to have a safe community where you can be seen, valued, and heard in your experience and believed, so that you can see that you're not crazy, you're not the only one going through it, and that there is a way through it, that you can heal and that you will heal. The link is above on Facebook, below on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, that bell there. Let me get this shared out to the community. If you're going to Google it or Facebook search it, it'll be the Thriving Beyond Codependency community. All right. So innocence and your healing. So innocence is this concept, not necessarily of naivety, because that's what a lot of people tend to attach it to. It's more about a lack of condemnation, a freedom from an inherent wrongness about self. So I'm going to look at innocence and codependency. In codependency, a lot of times we are vilified for valid things. We are made the scapegoat, the black sheep, the problem, the burden, for having feelings, for having needs, for having wants, for having a boundary, for speaking up, for saying no, for having a difference of opinion, for wanting something that they don't want, for calling them out on something that hurt you, for asking for something, sometimes even for existing. See, because it's this kind of abuse that it convinces us or to internalize a sense of shame, burdenship, and judgment against ourselves. We are not innocent. We're somehow causing this problem, this pain in them, these reactions in them. We are somehow harming them by being ourselves. These were messages I got frequently growing up. And so I condemned myself. I took their judgment as law and made that a weapon against myself. I ignored my own genuine innocence, my own not wrongness in it, my own sincerity behind the things I was trying to do. See, I grew up in this, so this comes from a child point of view, in that I'm just trying to learn how to live life and how to do these things. And adult expectations were imposed upon me. Now, in peer-to-peer relationships, the innocence is going to show up in I am trying. Now, trying is a tricky thing, tricky thing, because a lot of people who say they're trying aren't actually trying. They're just using it to get you off their back, right? In reality, trying is they're actually doing work. They're doing the work. They are focused on themselves and what they need to improve. They're practicing and testing out new behaviors, new skills, new approaches. That's what actual trying looks like, is that there's this practice being attempted, and they're going to fail at it, but they're attempting it. And when that's going on, it behooves us, if we're the one working with someone who is improving their skills, to open up to the idea or to the option of positive regard in that intent with accountability. See, innocence is the the thing that basically says I came from a positive regard for this. My intent was positive. The outcome didn't work. The skills didn't work. Now, innocence isn't an excuse. It's not a bypass for accountability. Innocence and accountability work together to create power, to create change in a person's world. Because when we take innocence and we move it into our healing realm, then we're moving into a space where we can understand ourselves from a kindness, from a warm regard of, hey, yeah, we are really sincerely trying. That we can acknowledge our own, that word again, sincerity, our own genuine intention here, and acknowledge that maybe the outcome isn't really hitting the mark yet. There's still things to learn and still things to master. The idea here is that we stop condemning ourselves for making mistakes. We stop condemning ourselves for not knowing. We stop condemning ourselves for having to grow, for not being perfect. Instead, we get a chance to go, I'm okay. Now, I take this back to the realm of abuse and healing in that. Our innocence restores to us an integrity to ourselves. It's like, well, I didn't earn that. I didn't earn that behavior. I didn't earn that outcome. I didn't earn being treated that way. I'm innocent. I didn't cause this. This isn't something I generated in them. This is something that existed in them before I ever showed up. This is a them thing. We can begin to, offload the responsibility for other people's behaviors, which is critical to getting back to our own integrity, back to our own boundary, our own territory, our own self. Because in codependency, we've absorbed responsibility for the way they behave because we think we cause it. It's caused in them. It's not something we create. And we need to own our we need to own our taking of responsibility in that and give it back to them. It's like, well, not my responsibility. The way you behave is on you. Abuse is your problem. I'm out. So we don't have to internalize it anymore. Innocence gives us a way to break free of the shame that we often feel when we've gone through an abusive dynamic. So this gives us a chance to reclaim ourselves and to discover from the point of view or the lens of innocence that maybe I'm not a bad person. Maybe I'm not a burden. Maybe I'm not shameful. Maybe I'm worthy. Maybe I'm okay. So during the SAR practices we do on Mondays, which are free, and the link is above on Facebook, below on YouTube, you sign up, come and practice with us. Part of the step in the practice we're using is to invite in or call forward our natural or innate innocence. And this happens after we've encountered something, like we did fear yesterday, and we did guilt previous to that, shame, and so on. When we're bringing in this innocence after these encounters with these difficult emotions, we start to find a peace. We start to find a wholeness returning to us and a genuine relief that there's nothing we have to really fix about who we are becoming, but it's more about, I'm okay. I'm whole. There's a lot of freedom behind the release of condemnation. Because now we're not carrying a burden that's false for us. We're not operating from a premise of fear towards ourselves. Instead, we're coming towards a kindness and a warmth towards ourselves, a willingness to give ourselves the benefit of the doubt, rather than to judge and condemn. This allows us to reconnect a little deeper with who we really are, and allow a restoration to occur within our natural sense of beingness. So innocence It's about the acknowledgement of our genuine intent. It is about a respect for our wholeness and a respect that we don't earn abuse. Ever. Period. There is no justification in any environment to be abused. Healthy people don't abuse because they respect. And they respect because they value you and they value themselves. And they have a care and a regard for the emotional impact they have on others and on themselves. That is, in my point of view, a regard of innocence, a regard of the inherent worth and value of another human being. So, when it comes to healing, innocence, and when it comes to your healing and with innocence, innocence brings to us the space by which we can let go of our traumas a little more. We can discover a little more of our innate wholeness. We can come back into a contact with our own sincere intention and effort in our world. We can start to feel our own value through innocence and reconnect to that. And from there, discover more about who we truly can be and who we want to be in our world. So, innocence. This also connects with my current objective here, right? Because the last week or so, or last month really, when this dawned on me, I was like, I want to make a little course about this. So I have a 5-module course I call Reclaiming Innocence. That starts in 2 weeks from yesterday. So it starts the 18th of January. And we'll be going through all 5 of these. We'll be going through 5 specific modules. The first one will be about reclaiming our innocence from judgment, from condemnation. The second one is going to be about mistakes and perfectionism. The third one's about restoring our innocence and our wholeness in our needs and wants, and then in our feelings, in our behaviors, or in our being rather. And then the fifth one is making innocence a practice in our world, in our lives. So when we make mistakes, we can access innocence rather than shame. And then from there, we can connect to accountability and change rather than fear and conformity. There's some magic there because it takes all this weight off mistake making, because we're making mistakes all the time. I made mistakes twice last week that they were fairly intense. But I came back to my innocence and I'm like, I am okay. You're okay. So this practice can help us cultivate that. It's also a really nice launch pad for the Heal Yourself strategy that launches in February, on the 22nd of February. So your enrollment with the Reclaiming Innocence course is going to include enrollment in that. So you can check that out. The enrollment is open and available now. The link is above on Facebook, below on YouTube. It's Reclaiming Yourself, Innocence, because this will also have other modules we'll be adding to it, like reclaiming our power, reclaiming safety, reclaiming identity. So other practices will come with this course in the future. But for now, it's just those 5 modules on innocence, and then we launch into the Heal Yourself strategy, which will help you restore reality, safety, and connection by healing the trauma bond and getting you set up to discover who you are and create happy relationships in your life. So, good morning, Charity. Yes, innocence. It's like going back to our 18-month, 2-year-old self at the beginning. Yes. Hi, Renee. Thank you. Yeah, it's back to that innocence. It's back to, hey, I'm not a malicious actor. I'm not out here deliberately doing things to cause people pain. And the majority of people out there aren't doing that either. There are some people who do. Sociopaths, far spectrum narcissists, even, psychopaths, things like that. But really, the majority of people are really genuinely coming from innocence. And when we leave the abusive dynamic of relating and we go into the healthy dynamic of relating, acknowledging the innocence of your partner, people you have a relationship with, in their best attempts to do something, can bring some peace into the pain. Now, that doesn't mean they don't get to take accountability. Accountability is a fundamental essential. It's one of the essential ingredients to healthy relating, because it's one of the relationship bare minimums. You gotta have reliability, integrity, and accountability, or you're not going to have a functional system for trust. Now, trust has other ingredients with that. Sorry about that. Trust has other ingredients included with that. But if those three things don't function at a bare minimum in a relationship, you don't have a relationship. You're going to have a drama ship or some sort of nightmare on your hands. But innocence allows us to connect back with our own genuine self and acknowledge that in others. That can take some weight off mistake making. It can eliminate perfectionism and whatnot. So the next 5 classes here, we're going to talk about how innocence influences specific things like perfectionism, mistakes, needs, wants, things like that. And so it gives you an overview of what we're going to be practicing and discovering in the Restoring or Reclaiming Innocence course, and gets you prepped for the Heal Yourself strategy that starts in February. So again, you get the Heal Yourself strategy with your enrollment in the Reclaiming Innocence course. So they all come in the same membership, which is called the Heal Yourself membership. They tend to give you a lot of power and a lot of bang for your buck in that, because, well, that's the point, right? Healing needs to be, 1, affordable, and 2, maximal, so that you get the results you deserve. So appreciate you being here today. Take a moment, go out, explore your innocence. See what it's like to see yourself through that lens again. See your healing through that. See your past, present, and future through that. Let's see what you discover in that world. Invite you to enroll in the Reclaiming Innocence course. Links above on Facebook, below on YouTube. And remember that you're worth knowing, loving, and keeping. And I will see you guys in our next discussion tomorrow. Okay? Have a great day, guys.